ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Monday, July 13th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. 304-396-TALK. That is 304-396-8255. We're going to have open text line throughout the show today. We'll get you caught up on everything that's happening, including where the Thundering Herd is projected to finish in the Sun Belt East Division race. We've got some good news today for Carlos Del Rio Wilson. And, of course, we've got NBA Summer League to keep an eye on. We already have action underway. The Raptors are taking on the Pacers right now. And I've been following this. Tavion Kinsey right now has 5 points in the contest. He is 1 of 5 from the field. So Kinsey in action today, NBA Summer League, 6:26 to go in the second. The Toronto Raptors are leading the Indiana Pacers and Tavion Kinsey's squad, 37-29. Hey, how about that game John Elmore had on Saturday? It was against Dallas. He just had a complete game. For Summer League, he had 6 points. He had 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, father time here. The guy is 30. There was even a story, I think it was on Yahoo as well, and it was reprinted from a couple other publications that are partnered with Yahoo, talking about John's receding hairline, how he's the oldest guy in the NBA Summer League. Not necessarily looking to get on with the Lakers, but looking to get on with somebody. And so he's with the Lakers right now, and hopefully we'll see more out of Elmore. Again, Johnny Buckets can play. It did correctly mention that John was a legend at Marshall University, and I think he's still a legend at Marshall University. Is he worthy of the statue we all said he should get a few years ago when we were at the peak of Elmore Mania? We talked about the statue. Hal Greer's got the statue. Does John Elmore get the statue, or do we reserve the statue for the most elite of elite players, the most special of special players? And does that include an NBA career as well? What does that include? What gets you a statue at Marshall University? And there's only one for basketball, and it is the legendary Hal Greer. I mean, does Elmore even get a boulevard named after him? You know, are we going that far? And don't forget Tavion Kinsey. You know, he has as much right to something being named after him as John probably does. And by the way, keeping an eye on Kinsey throughout this whole process, because Tavion, a few years younger than John, I think Tavion still has potential to maybe land on a roster a little bit more than just a quick appearance in a few games. So we'll keep an eye on this as the Pacers right now and Tavion Kinsey right now trailing the Toronto Raptors 39-31. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. And of course, you know, Kinsey wasn't used in the last game, but before that, he had 16 points in that game coming off the bench for the Pacers. So he's got some potential. He's definitely going to stick around, I think, a little bit longer than most. And you know, I'm still awaiting for an explosion from Wyatt Fricks. He's been solid and steady. He's not putting up gaudy numbers, but that's not necessarily the only thing you need. Other games coming up tonight in the Summer League, it's going to be the Hawks and the Celtics. You've got the Mavericks and the Grizzlies, Heat, Cavaliers, Bulls, and Jazz. And you've got the Suns and the Bucks and the Timberwolves and the Trail Blazers. So those are all the games that are coming up tonight, tomorrow. We're going to keep an eye on a couple of games. The Lakers taking on the Clippers tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. So that's probably the big one for a lot of us here, just to see if Johnny Buckets can do something else against the Clippers. So as we get your text in, and again, we'll get that going here in just a few minutes, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. The All-Star break is upon us. Baseball yesterday, the Pirates making a statement, sweeping the Brewers 14-5. That makes the boss very happy. And so management's happy, the Pirates are happy, and we go into the All-Star break with a little momentum. The Cubs got the better of the Reds 8-4. It was the Guardians 5, the Marlins 2. All-Star game coming up tomorrow night in Philadelphia. And, of course, the other action going on, that World Cup continues. The World Cup continues. We have got France and Spain and England and Argentina. So that's what's happening. Starting tomorrow, France and Spain. This could have been a World Cup final. France, more than likely the favorite to win it all. Spain could have been a contender as well for the championship and still can be. It's just got to beat France now instead of maybe the World Cup final. On the other side, you've got England and Argentina. That's coming up on Wednesday. Messi and his final World Cup taking on England. Do any of these matches hold interest for you? Are you rooting for Spain or France? Or are you paying attention more to England and Argentina? Are you rooting for England because, England, for a lot of people, that's the mother country, right? For a lot of people, not everybody. Then there's Argentina and there's Messi. For me, I'm probably not watching Tuesday's action. I will look in on Wednesday's action and see how that goes. That might be the more interesting game. That's going to be a 3 o'clock game on Wednesday. Same for the game tomorrow, 3 o'clock. So in the middle of the day here in the United States of America, the host country, both these matches are going to be at 3 o'clock. And I don't think that's really going to matter. Of course, this is playing to a global audience. This is going to be broadcast across the globe. There are places where doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m. They're watching the World Cup. They're having World Cup parties. The good thing here is, though, I think the 3 o'clock start times make as much sense as possible for the matchups that we have in front of us. But, of course, I don't think I'm against having sports at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm here for it. Let's have midday football. Let's do it. I'm here for it. Why not? Let's have college football 3 p.m. on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Am I all by myself on this? I think it's a great idea. You probably don't because you can't tailgate. But that's not the real reason. I just think let's have some midweek football. Can't we do that? At 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm here for it. 304-396-TALK is the text line, 304-396-8255. Thanks for being a part of today's Monday show here on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Looking for a night of absolute madness? Then don't miss the Rocky Horror Mix-Up Show. July 17th at the Foundry Theater in Huntington. The wild and wonderful Untamed Things are throwing tradition out the window as cast members swap roles, flip expectations, and unleash a wildly unpredictable version of a Rocky Horror Picture Show. Enjoy the costume contest, version games, a prop bag raffle, and plenty of surprises along the way. Doors are at 7. The show starts at 8, and tickets are just $10. One night only, July 17th at the Foundry. Let's do the time warp differently.
At Food Fair, your savings just got smarter. Introducing Cart Cash Rewards, where every trip takes you further. Unlock brand new digital coupons. Even exclusive offers you won't find anywhere else. Clip them right in the app or at checkout and watch the savings add up instantly. Ready to start saving more? Just text CART to 87573. Food Fair, conveniently fresh.
Summer starts here. It's Moses Auto Mall of Huntington Ninth Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, July 17th, it's Collins Career Center Night featuring William Matheny with Charlie Overman. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy Ninth Street libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station, featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerk Riley's at Pullman Square. Mark your calendar for August 7th for ONA. The Thundering Herd Rally with Madhouse is August 14th. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kendrick Communications.
Oh, hi. Do you know what this is the sound of? It's the sound of me getting rewarded for doing my part to prevent wildfires. See, right now I'm getting a big, remarkably heartfelt bear hug from Smokey Bear. Thanks, big guy. And now we're shaking. Okay. First, I made sure there were no low-hanging branches when I set up my campfire. Hey, Smokey, let me down for just a second. I need to make sure everyone can hear this. There we go. Then, when we were packing up to leave, I drowned out my campfire, stirred it, drowned it out again, and then made sure to feel it if it was cold. Oh, Smokey Bear really loves it when you do that, don't you, Smokey? Oh, he lets his hugs do the talking. Visit SmokeyBear.com to learn tips to prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund reading.
Oh.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Thank you, Dave. Don't forget, coming up tomorrow, 10:06, it is Metro News Talkline right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We are getting closer to the start of college football, and that means it's talking season, to quote former head coach Charles Huff. And the Sun Belt Conference announcing its preseason all Sun Belt teams and the individual awards today. Also, the preseason poll. Good news is that Marshall has now the preseason Offensive Player of the Year in quarterback Carlos Del Rio Wilson. He was an honorable mention a year ago. What'd he do? Well, only threw for over 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns. He rushed for 660 yards and 6 touchdowns. He is only one of 2 returning quarterbacks in the country that have thrown for 2,000 yards, completed 65% of passing attempts, and to have rushed for 600 yards in a season. I don't think I remembered this one. I think I would have remembered it eventually, but I had to be reminded his 660 rushing yards. That broke a record, 43-year-old record there. So Carlos is the offensive player of the year. That's the good news here. And Marshall got 9 preseason all Sun Belt picks. So Marshall had the most. So a lot of regard for Marshall as far as the talent's concerned. And then you get into the preseason poll. Let's start from the bottom up in the East Division. Or would you know what? We'll go top down. Let's go top down. Let's build some suspense here. We'll go West Division first. You have Troy, followed by Louisiana, followed by Arkansas State, and then Louisiana Tech, Southern Miss, South Alabama, and ULM. Now, on the east side, James Madison is the preseason favorite, followed by Old Dominion, and then Marshall, and then Georgia Southern, Coastal Carolina, App State, and Georgia State. So that's your preseason poll there. That is an interesting breakdown. So Troy, of course, makes sense as the favorite to win the West Division. It got 12 of 14 first-place votes. Louisiana and Southern Miss each received 1 first-place vote, even though Louisiana is always a favorite. I didn't think that they would get a first-place vote. I thought Troy would be the overwhelming, and they are. It's just, Louisiana gets squeezed in there with a vote. And Southern Miss, that's the one that I scratched my head over. Southern Miss with a first-place vote. Really? But they're going to drop so hard. I mean, Coach Huff is not there anymore. That team's going to drop so hard. And, of course, James Madison makes sense. It's the defending champion. It beats Troy 31-14 in that championship game. So, East Division champion, sure. Everyone's going to pick them. And then you get Old Dominion. Old Dominion's in the mix, and then you get the Thundering Herd at third. Do you like that? Do you like that pairing, that grouping here? Now, just kind of give you a mathematical look at where everyone thought these teams were. On the east side, Coastal Carolina, which is picked 5th, got 45 points, but it got a first-place vote. Georgia Southern, which is picked 4th, got 53 points and a first-place vote. Old Dominion picked 2nd, 73 points, and it got a first-place vote. And then James Madison, with 94 points, got a whopping 11 first-place votes. Okay. Not the 12 that Troy got. That's okay. But Coastal gets a first-place vote. Georgia Southern gets a first-place vote. Old Dominion gets a first-place vote. And James Madison gets 11. And this is the coaches' poll. Now, this is where the coaches think that everybody stacks up. Is that a little too low for Marshall at third? Is that just right for Marshall? Is it interesting that Coastal, Georgia Southern, and Old Dominion all receive a first-place vote, but not Marshall at all? Even though Marshall has the Offensive Player of the Year? Offensive Player of the Year landed the most players on the all Sunbelt teams. 9 of them. 9 players, all Sunbelt. So I think 3 is the lowest it could have gone. You know, with all those accolades, Carlos Del Rio Wilson being offensive player preseason, you have to look at that. I mean, you look at second team, special teams, Avion Turner Bradshaw. He's second team, special teams. That's I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, to be honest with you. And the first teamers on this list, obviously Carlos, and then you've got Tariq Montgomery, you've got Jalen Slappy, you've got Toby Payne, and you got Adrian Norton. So you've got 5 guys on your first team, 5 of them on your offense. Defensively, Daquan Smith is it. So he's the only first teamer on defense. Offense is highly regarded. Defense didn't earn that many players. First team special teams, no one from Marshall. Preseason All Sun Belt second team, nobody from Marshall. Of course, all the big names are on the first team. Braden Ward earns a nod for the Sun Belt second team defense. JaVale Gilmore earns a nod for second team. As I mentioned, Xavier Turner Bradshaw gets the Sun Belt second team special team nod. So that's what it breaks down. What does this mean? Absolutely nothing. It does not mean a thing other than, all right, we're guessing. Here's where we think everybody should be, and we're going to put the list out. Is it, that's nice, thank you? Is it bulletin board material? Because how mad can you be if you're third? All it is, like, okay, we got some things to prove here. We're picked third. That's pretty good. Still got to win it on the field. How would you like to be Georgia State? You're sitting there going, okay, we're 7th. What are we doing about this? Or how would you like to be App State? You're sitting here at 6 and you're going, wait a minute, we're App State. 6 doesn't look good on us. I mean, Southern Miss is 5th in the West Division. They got a little swagger going last year, and then swagger left. Troy, of course, I think that's deserved. James Madison, the ones make most sense to me. I don't know if I'm giving Old Dominion that 2 spot in the East. I would flip that possibly with Marshall. That might sound like a little bias coming out. And I'm okay with that. Because, again, this means absolutely – I mean, it's great, but it means absolutely nothing. It's preseason. Say, hey, here's what we think you're going to do. Hey, congratulations. We think you're the offensive player. We think – it's the We Think Awards. We think you're going to be the offensive player of the year. So we're giving you the preseason. You're the preseason offensive player of the year. You're the guy. You're the guy. We're looking at you. You're the guy. It's going to be a nice little, I don't know, table decoration at Carlos's place. So it should be. And it gives you something to talk about. A lot of expectations. And really, this is what this is. This is a lot of expectation. It's more of a watch list to me than anything. I mean, the preseason awards are nice. And let me honestly be the first to tell you, if they offered me one of these things, I would take it and smile and be super all about it. Hey, Paul, you're the preseason sports talk show of the year in the Sun Belt. That's a made-up award I've just given myself. You're the guy. You're the preseason sports talk show that we're all looking to coming up this season. So you get the preseason award. Yes, thank you. Couldn't have done it without the fans. Something like that. But yeah, these are cool. These are cool to get. But at the end of the day, you think Coach Gibson's like sitting there going, hey, man, you guys, yeah, congratulations. It's deserved, but yeah, now you got to go out and prove it. What's more important, being on the preseason list or being on the postseason list? How do you get on the postseason list? Well, you go out there and you win games. You go out there and you perform. You go out there and you win the conference championship. You win that East Division. You win that conference championship. You go out and you prove that you belong on that first team or you are the best team out there. Carlos is probably pretty happy. Hey, thanks for the accolades. I want to go out and win the conference. I want to go out there and win and be the best player based off what I did, not what you think I'm going to do. So these are always an interesting thing to me as far as, do they really matter? Should we encourage these leagues to keep doing this? I mean, for me, it gives me something to talk about. I'm not gonna turn this away, but is it really meaningful? I mean, how many people in a week or so are gonna go, oh yeah, hey, Marshall was picked third? You might bring that up now and then. Fans might bring that up, but at the end of the day, it's just someone's opinion. It doesn't matter other than, hey, this is where you're regarded. This is a check of the room, see what the temperature is, and the league thinks, or at least the coaches think, that you're going to be in the hunt, but you're not the number one spot. You're the third spot, which puts you in a good position. The pressure isn't on you, but at the same time, you're not picked as you're not the dog everyone's hunting. You're not. You're not the big dog. You're among the big dogs, but you're not the big dog. You're not the top guy. You're not the top kid. You're not the team to beat. But what would you rather be? Would you rather be the team to beat, or would you rather be the team hunting? Hunted or hunter? Which would you rather be? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Marshall's picked third, Sun Belt East Division. Did the league get it right, or did the league miss? Your text on this edition of The Drive.
Summer starts here. It's Moses Auto Mall of Huntington Ninth Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, July 17th, it's Collins Career Center Night featuring William Matheny with Charlie Overman. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy Ninth Street libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station, featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerk Riley's at Pullman Square. Mark your calendar for August 7th for ONA. The Thundering Herd Rally with Madhouse is August 14th. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kendrick Communications.
Now that Wendy's has these new biggie deals, everyone in the family can get what they're craving, from nugs to JBCs. The parental units can get an $8 biggie bundle, the eldest who think they're so grown can get a $6 biggie bag, and the little one who can do no wrong can get a $4 biggie bites. You know, assuming they have a credit card. No, I'm kidding. We take cash too. 4, 6, and $8 biggie deals for the whole family. Only at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
Planning for a funeral is never easy, and selecting the right mortuary can be important. Family owned and operated for over 6 decades, our family has helped other families going through the most difficult time. Chapman's Mortuary and Crematory can help you plan arrangements today or offer a pre-need funeral plan in line with your intimate wishes. And now, we provide Huntington's only on-site crematory. Call us for a free consultation. Chapman's Mortuary and Crematory, serving the tri-state for over 60 years.
Save big on your landscaping project now at Menards. We make it easy for you to enhance your outdoor living space with the largest in-stock selection of concrete landscape block. Ready to take home today. Build a fire pit or retaining wall with our tumbled Belgian wall blocks. On sale now. Save big on your landscaping project at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, I'm Kelly Clarkson, and I've toured the country dozens of times, and there's one thing every state has in common: childhood hunger. The sad truth is that 17 million kids don't know where their next meal is coming from, or if it's even coming at all. Yet there are billions of pounds of surplus food around the country at farms and warehouses that could help end this injustice. But all that food is useless if it doesn't get where it needs to go. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to hungry kids before it goes to waste. But they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank. Find out how at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're Feeding America.
To help solve hunger in your community and to find your local food bank, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We asked kids what it took to be a dad. This is what they had to say.
A father is always present. I mean, what real father figure can you have if they're not there?
In order to be a good dad, you need to love your son. You need to put gas in your car so you don't break down in the middle of nowhere. And you need to make them breakfast. Yep.
I mean, just to maybe play like a board game with me, or to just stay home and play some video games with me. Just to do like that one little thing is what I really look forward to.
I'm not asking him to be a perfect dad, but he should try.
He's just a constant force in my life.
There's no other type of love like a dad's love because it's not comparable to anything else.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Before I was adopted, I felt like my life was already over.
My biggest fear was that I would age out and not know how to be sufficient on my own.
At a certain age, like they don't want you, you're troubled and stuff.
The clock is ticking for the more than 125,000 kids waiting to be adopted from foster care. Help the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption prevent them from aging out without a permanent family. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue on with this Monday, July 13th edition of Your Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We're keeping an eye on NBA Summer League this afternoon as the Indiana Pacers and Tavion Kinsey facing off against the Toronto Raptors. And with 7:34 to go in the third, the Pacers are trailing, but not by much. It's a 51-47 advantage for the Raptors. Keeping an eye on Tavion Kinsey. He's played 12 minutes. He's scored 5 points. He's 1 of 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from the three-point line, and 1 of 2 from the free throw line. He also has an assist, a turnover, and he's negative 11 right now. So not the best game for Tavion. But then again, the games have been sort of hot and cold. If you understand where I'm going at right now, but. Looks like, for the most part, Tavion's on par with almost the rest of the offense for the Pacers. So it hasn't been an absolute blowout, and it hasn't been a shootout as well. So we're keeping an eye on that as the Summer League continues. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter wants to know, Paul, is there any mechanism for tracking the accuracy of preseason polls that would either lend or deny them any level of credence? That's a good question. I don't know if there's an accurate mechanism at the moment, because with the transfer portal, the dynamic has changed. I mean, usually if you had a pretty good season, you lose your senior class and you get a lot of your returners coming back, and then you go out and you get some freshmen and you add a couple of positions here and there. I think you could say, yeah, you could gauge that a little bit better. But now, when it comes to college football, is the Marshall team that played just recently closer to the team that was the champion a couple years ago, or is it the team that was starting from scratch, or is it somewhere in the middle? I think that at the most of this, coaches' polls are based on, okay, here's what I remember about this team. Now, here's the problem. Early season ranking are coming off as either, here's what we think they're going to be. It's a perception that's kind of media expectations, it's television exposure, right? Historically, hey, JMU won the league, so of course they're going to be the preseason favorite. Voter expectations, right? I'm not that big on these things because I think ultimately they're going to be close, but I don't think they're truly accurate. It's more of a forecast for me. Like, hey, I think it's going to rain today. Why do you think it's going to rain today? Well, it's, the probabilities here. We're playing probabilities. I could probably bring in here one of our sports-ready meteorologists in the market and get as good of a preseason poll than we could get from the coaches or even the media. Because what are we basing the rankings on? Troy's the West Division favorite. Why? Because Troy was in the conference championship game. James Madison is in the East Division side as the number one team. Why? It was in the championship game. It's the champion. And so I think you can look at these historically and they're indicators, they're forecasts, but at the end of the day, how many of these coaches sat down and really broke it down and went, ULM is terrible. ULM, 19 points, West Division. I mean, historically, they haven't been spectacular. This could be their year. We don't know that. But is Troy the odds-on favorite because of history and past success? Is James Madison the odds-on favorite because of history and past success? Is Marshall a promising team in the East Division, anchored by Carlos Del Rio Wilson and a pretty potent offense? Is Louisiana Tech a team that comes in to the Sun Belt from Conference USA better in the West than Southern Miss, South Alabama, and ULM, but not as good as Arkansas State, Louisiana, and Troy? We don't know. We don't know because we don't have a collective frame of reference. We don't have last year's games, which really don't mean much because, again, it depends on how many of your players are coming back. Carlos is coming back. We know he's good. We know that Marshall's got some weapons on offense. Marshall should be good. Are they going to win the East Division? I'm sure Coach Gibson's telling me, yeah, we're going to win it because that's what he wants to see happen. He's not going to sit there and go, we might. No, we might win it. We'll be okay. I bet you a nickel, because I can't afford anything else, but I bet you a nickel that he thinks that third's probably maybe too low for his team. I don't think he's going to sit there and, with a serious face, if he can keep one, great, go, yeah, you know what, we're the third best team in the East. Yeah, we're good with that. Nobody's good with this. Absolutely. And you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be good with this as well. If you're looking at this right now and you're like, yeah, that's we're good with this. We're good. We're third. Yeah. No, you're probably sitting there going, yeah, it's a little too low, Paul. Marshall's definitely better than Old Dominion, right? And the fact that Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, and Old Dominion all received first place votes and Marshall did not, what's that really say? That speaks to me a little differently. Now, I can't say too much about Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern and Marshall have had some interesting games here. Coastal as well. but James Madison is probably getting the based on past success first place vote. We'll see. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I think I'm going to have to chart this myself. Just do the in-house, okay, here's where they started, here's where they finished, and rinse and repeat for the rest of my career here. We'll do that. You can help as well. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hey, you hungry for a win? There's always something good at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Kick off your week on Tuesday with our double play. Pick two of your favorite pasta and pizza combos for the price of one. Get over the hump with Bangin' Wednesday and score $3 off the Hall of Fame Cafe's famous Bang Bang Shrimp. Thursday, it's Buds and Boneless Singo Bingo. Take the mic on Saturday for karaoke night. Wrap it all up with Sunday specials. It's all good all week and only at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe.
Going back to school is a big step, but you're not alone. At Collins Career Technical Center, your success is our success. From financial aid to career support, we're with you every step. You're part of a team of students on the same path, facing challenges together. And when it gets tough, we've got your back. Because when you succeed, our whole community gets stronger. Let's take the next step together. Visit collins-cc.edu to learn more. At Collins Career Technical Center, it's not just you, it's us.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Genesis Oxygen and Home Medical Equipment, serving Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia since 1977. Oxygen, CPAP, wheelchairs, beds, wound care, and more. Most insurance is accepted, 24/7 emergency services. Genesis, a world of difference. Go Mart. Go for good times. Go for Go Mart.
Summer starts here. It's Moses Auto Mall of Huntington 9th Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, July 17th, it's Collins Career Center Night featuring William Matheny with Charlie Overman. The Little Caesars Kid Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy 9th Street libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station, featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerk Riley's at Pullman Square. Mark your calendar for August 7th for ONA. The Thundering Herd Rally with Madhouse is August 14th. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kindred Communications.
Okay, gang. So, chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But, just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
So, who's gonna do what? Anyone? Yeah, okay, perfect. We'll figure it out as we go. So, who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Ah, good point. So, we all know who to call if something happens then, right?
I'd have to call Jill, Devin, Melissa, Karen, and Bruce.
And I will try to call all of you, but Greg doesn't have a cell phone. Dad's phone will have a dead battery.
No doubt.
And Julie will be on the phone with Jill, Devin, Melissa, Karen, and Bruce.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
I know.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
What's your favorite high school sports memory? A late inning rally? A game-winning shot? A photo finish? Maybe it's a pep rally or a pregame ritual. Maybe it's the euphoria of a late-night bus ride home after a hard-fought win. Maybe it's having pizza with teammates after the game. Now, imagine if it never happened at all. School sports need your help. With budgets getting tighter, it's more than the games that are on the line. It's all the traditions, the community pride, the culture of your hometown high school. Plus, all those memories that are on the line, too. What can you do? It's simple. Buy a ticket when you can. Go to a game. Take the whole family. Let's do everything we can to keep those cherished school sports memories alive.
This message presented by the West Virginia Secondary School Activities Commission and the West Virginia Athletic Directors Association.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
Final segment for today's edition of The Drive, but plenty of time for you. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Got a score update. We're keeping an eye on Summer League action. The Pacers taking on the Raptors. Of course, Tavion Kinsey playing for the Pacers in the Summer League. And right now in the third, 2:33 to go. Pacers on top of the Raptors, 65-63. How's Tavion Kinsey doing? Well, he's been in the game for 15 minutes, and he's only got 5 points, 1 of 5 from the field, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. So Tavion Kinsey is at a -9, so that's improved. Not a spectacular game for most of the players today. From the Pacers, getting most of their offense from Slauson and Mast in this one, if you're keeping an eye on this one. 2:33 to go in the third. Indiana Pacers are beating the Raptors 65-63. With our text line open for the remainder of the show, we're going to dive back into what we've been talking about, and that's the preseason coaches poll. And you can join in at 304-396-TALK. I went back and looked at 2025, the order of finish. How did the teams finish in 2025, and where were the coaches inclined to put them in 2026? So we'll start with the West Division. Troy finished first in the West, and so in the preseason poll, they're number 1. Louisiana finished 4th in the West, and in the preseason poll, they're picked number 2 with a first-place vote. Arkansas State did not get a first-place vote, finished 2nd in the West Division, and was picked 3rd. Louisiana Tech was not ranked last year in the conference. Southern Miss finished 3rd and was picked 5th with a first-place vote. South Alabama finished 6th and was ranked 6th in the preseason. ULM finished 7th and was ranked 7th in the preseason. Now, I qualify this because Arkansas State, Southern Miss, and Louisiana all finished 5-3. All finished 5-3. So Louisiana, Southern Miss, Arkansas State. I think that's a fair grouping. Some variation here because Southern Miss gets a first place vote, Louisiana gets a first place vote. The East Division is a little bit more interesting because James Madison wins it all. James Madison, number 1 in the East in 2025, number 1 in the preseason. Old Dominion, number 2 in the East in 2025, number 2 in the preseason. Marshall was number 5 in the 2025 standings. Marshall moves up to number 3. Georgia Southern was 4th in the East Division standings and is 4th in the preseason. Coastal Carolina was 3rd in 2025 season standings and drops to 5th. App State, 6th in the finish, 6th in the preseason. Georgia State, 7th in the finish, 7th in the preseason. So what has happened here is Marshall has actually jumped from 5 to 3. Coastal Carolina has dropped from 3 to 5. West Division, it's a little tighter there, so I expect a little bit of a jumbling here. But again, Old Dominion gets a first-place vote. Georgia Southern gets a first-place vote. Coastal Carolina gets a first-place vote. Marshall does not, but Marshall is still picked 3rd. And if you look at where Marshall finished, the coaches think a little higher of Marshall than how the Herd finished. So there you have it. That's kind of an idea. I guess for the most part, the coaches looked and went, hey, okay, James Madison won. You know what? Marshall's a little bit better than they were last year. I think we're going to – Carlos Del Rio Wilson, okay, you know what? I'm going to put him 3rd. I'm going to rank him a little higher But for the most part, the East is almost chalk. Almost. The West is close to chalk as you possibly can with all of the jump. Because, some people probably thought, hey, you know what? Southern Miss was better than Arkansas State. Even though everyone finished close. Texas State's out. So Texas State 3-5. Just throw them out. South Alabama was 3-5. No one's giving them a chance here. ULM was 1-7. No one's giving them a chance. Arkansas State, Southern Miss were 7-6 last year, and Louisiana was 6-7. Coastal Carolina overall was 6-7, but 5-3 in league. Marshall was 5-7 overall, 3-5 in league. So there at least is some positive news coming out of the preseason poll. Marshall is regarded a little bit better by the coaches than Coastal Carolina right now. All of this is great. None of this matters because it's not going to mean a thing once the season begins. It's great to look at. It's great to speculate. It's great to kind of see what the temperature of the room is. At the end of the day, though, none of this matters. And not to take away from anyone their accolades or where Marshall ends up in this, not to take away from anything. At the end of the day, it's a compliment and it's an honor to be regarded in this manner. Look, Carlos, if you took a temperature check of the room and he wasn't considered the offensive player of the year for the preseason, then I'd be concerned here. But this is a good idea of what at least the coaches are thinking when it comes to some of the players that are coming back or coming into the league and some of the players, where they're regarded. Because after all, Jalen Slappy, if he's not first team, it's not a valid preseason poll. End of story. Carlos Del Rio Wilson, not first team quarterback, it's not a valid preseason poll. A little biased on my part? Probably. But there's a lot of expectation coming into the season, especially with Carlos, especially with that offense. And we'll see what that defense looks like. That's going to be the big one right there. Can the defense keep teams out of the end zone and give Carlos more time to work? Give Carlos the ball and give him more opportunities to work. Can this offense give Carlos more opportunities to score? Can this offense keep him clean and off the turf or off the grass? And how many touchdowns will Adrian Norton have from Carlos Del Rio Wilson? That's an interesting number right there. We'll find out when the season, of course, starts. But unfortunately, for the rest of the show, we're out of time. That's going to do it for this edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Thanks for being a part of it. I'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. Until then, you can find me on X at Paul Swann. You can download the podcast, available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. This has been The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.